today, maybe tomorrow.
Welcome back to the Sounds of Lush, the series where we talk about different things going on in the lo-fi community. In my last episode, I shared with you guys my top favorite lo-fi producers. I asked you guys to share some of your favorite lo-fi producers, and I noticed that one fan was hesitant in deciding whether his list of producers could have been labeled as such. Now, I am not one to gateguard whether a producer or a beat could be labeled as lo-fi, nor am I a full-on expert on the genre myself. I'm simply a rapper who fell in love with these chill, relaxing beats because they made it easy for me to put the pen to the paper when it came to writing new music. To put it simple, they helped me with my workflow. When I first got into the genre, I wanted to do my best to make sure that I understood exactly what lo-fi music was, so I started doing some research. Despite countless people listening to the genre on a regular, most people have no idea what lo-fi music actually is. Everyone's iteration of the genre is slightly different, but there is a shared consensus about what it actually is. So, with all the knowledge that I've collected over these past years, I'd like to share with you guys my iteration of what that is. Today's artist of the week is one that has made a huge scene in the lo-fi hip-hop community. One of the beats was actually used by the rapper XXXTentacion before his tragic passing. Can you guess who it is by the end of the video? Now, before I get started with today's topic, let's take a look at this week's new releases. These were all the new releases that I could find over these past 2 weeks. Personally, I found some to be lackluster, as the lo-fi hip-hop that I am familiar with starts to change into something less boom-bap jazz-hop inspired and more about ambient spacey chords to fall asleep to. I'd love to discuss more about this gradual change of lo-fi music in a future episode, but for now, I'll conclude the topic by sharing what my favorite beat tape was from these past couple of weeks. Eldre's Snow-Fi was by far my favorite. Firstly, I had to say that I love the pun on words. Secondly, the animation is spot on. The minuscule animated Eldre is both mesmerizing and satisfying to watch as he bobs his head to the tempo of the music. It's a subtle yet noticeable thing that supports the music very well. The last reason why it's my favorite is because it's nice to listen to some of my favorite lo-fi songs in a new light. Eldre is best known for his lo-fi remix on the Steven Universe theme song, We Are the Crystal Gems. You've most likely heard it at least once on YouTube. Now, without further ado, it's time to discuss today's topic. What is lo-fi music? Despite lo-fi being called a genre on a regular, that's actually not the case. I know that can be very surprising to many, but the truth of the matter is that lo-fi is a medium. Now, some of you might be asking yourself, what's a medium and how does it differ from a genre? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me explain it by leaving the realm of music and entering the realm of television. I don't know about you guys, but I'm more of a visual learner anyway. Animation is very similar to lo-fi. Despite the common assumption, animation is also not a genre. If it were a genre, then that means we might as well throw Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and South Park in the same boat. I hope you guys can see the problem there. When people think about adult animation, the first thing that comes to mind is crude humor like Family Guy, Rick and Morty, King of the Hill, Big Mouth, the list goes on for ages. When this happens, adult animation gets put inside a box. 90% of adult animated shows become associated with humor, but the truth of the matter is, it can be so much more than that. The most recent example I can think of is a show called Invincible, which gives a unique take on the superhero genre. Of course, it has elements of comedy, but that's certainly not the first thing that you think of when you talk about the show. Unless you're talking about the memes. Those are actually really hilarious. I'm not gonna lie, they win for Meme of the Year. Anyway, back to what I was saying. If the genre of this show is superhero fiction, then the medium in which the fiction is being created is animation. The medium of the art is simply how the art was created. The genre is what emotion is being portrayed through the medium. The medium is the lens that shows whatever genre is being expressed. Similarly, lo-fi is how hip-hop is being created, but it is not obligated to be part of that genre. Lo-fi is a medium that is meant to create an aesthetic of being natural, blemished, unrefined, or flawed. This is why lo-fi stands for low fidelity, or in other words, low quality. It thrives under the philosophy that there is beauty in your blemishes. Lo-fi is like that girl that you like for all her blemishes, stretch marks, beauty moles, freckles, and so forth. Modern-day music is heavily emphasized on perfection. Everything is made to be perfect. On the contrary, lo-fi is all about human error, which that in itself is a beautiful thing. It's the same reason why many lo-fi producers will take old samples that feature analog hum, vinyl crackle, or static, just to name a few. This can go beyond just the quality of the audio. Accidental chords, not properly tuned instruments, or drums that have not been quantized are all examples of lo-fi elements being implemented through the music. The medium can take different shapes and even be expressed in different forms of art. A great example of this is Jack Stauber's animated videos. Jack Stauber is a YouTuber who creates animations. Some I would consider as being genre-bending, but most are lighthearted comedies. In every animation, the video and audio quality are the same as a VHS tape. I'm pretty sure he actually made the animation on an actual VHS, but I can't be 100% certain. Nevertheless, it is still a super creative way of making lo-fi, which makes the animation feel as though it takes place a long time ago, which is exactly what Jack Stauber is trying to do in a lot of his videos. A lot of his animations are based on memories from his childhood, so it's only right that he makes it feel as though that were the case. I think it's a super cool thing that Jack Stauber is also well known for his pop song, Buttercup and Oklahoma. I remember listening to the songs randomly on YouTube and not realizing that he was the same guy that made those creative animations. Like seriously, how talented can one guy be? Let's take a small break to talk about who the artist of the week may be. The second hint is that they are a fan of the old classic Disney online game, Toontown. This is their avatar. Although I have informed you guys about what exactly lo-fi music is, you might be curious about how it ties into rap music. It's all thanks to the subgenre of hip-hop music known as boom bap. Boom bap is an onomatopoeia for the sound of a bass kick being on the downbeat and the snare on the upbeat. The term became universally known in the hip-hop community as the subgenre grew in popularity. Boom bap was best known for the drum loop samples that were taken from vinyl records. And although it wasn't given a name at the time, this is how lo-fi became associated with hip-hop. The records were dirty, muffled, and had low quality, but they were perfect for the average conscious rapper. They were simple in nature and gave plenty of space for MCs to shine in the community. As technology evolved, so did boom bap. No longer did producers have to loop the same drum pattern with no diversity whatsoever. Electronic samples and synthesizers gave producers the ability to add their own flair of creative instruments and drum patterns. The most notable boom bap producers are J Dilla, Nujabes, Madlib, and Ninth Wonder. J Dilla and Nujabes are the grandfathers of lo-fi hip-hop music. J Dilla was well known for not quantizing his drums, which gave it a human-like feel from the synthesizer. Nujabes was best known for taking J Dilla's sampling techniques a step further. Instead of just splicing together drum loops and jazz samples together, he would take two different samples and combine their melodies or harmonics. This was not a very common technique at the time, as it can be quite challenging to do compared to providing new rhythms involving drum loops. Both producers pioneered what would eventually be known as lo-fi hip-hop, one for their experimentation with drums that are left unquantized, along with their ability to take several different samples to splice them together, and the other for their ability to take melodic samples and splice them. Fast forward to 2005, and we have the release of Shinichiro Watanabe's anime, Samurai Champloo. Shinichiro Watanabe was a fan of boom bap music and wanted the subgenre featured in his new show. That's when he got in contact with Nujabes. Nujabes had the opportunity to produce the soundtrack for the anime. The result was a fluid masterpiece as every sword swing followed the tempo of the beat in the background. It was truly amazing, and the anime is now a cult classic for hip-hop and anime fans alike. Samurai Champloo is where the link between lo-fi hip-hop and anime began. Fast forward to 2016 and we have the explosion of lo-fi hip-hop music as YouTube streams get recommended in every nook and cranny of the internet. It's really nice to have so many different interests come together to create something like no other. Lo-fi hip-hop is a mix of anime culture, vintage audio technology, and rap music to create a new thing entirely. It's beautiful to see how far it's come, but at the same time, quite concerning. The lo-fi hip-hop live streams that I listen to nowadays barely have that boom bap influence. They're bland and boring to listen to. They're music to go to sleep to. I remember telling a college acquaintance that I like listening to lo-fi music, and now I'm starting to understand why he thought so little of the genre. Today's lo-fi live streams don't feature lo-fi hip-hop. What they feature is lo-fi ambience. Chill hop should be a completely different thing from lo-fi hip-hop. It's definitely not the same. But that's a topic for another day. I'm going to start taking into consideration whether a new release is lo-fi hip-hop or just ambient chill hop. Now, it's time to reveal the artist of the week. Matthew Floyd, better known for his producer name Patsu, is a lo-fi hip-hop producer best known for his beats featuring the Instagram singer Shiloh. Several of his beats were used by XXXTentacion on his album 17, including I'm Closing My Eyes. Afterwards, the lo-fi hip-hop community became oversaturated with lo-fi beats that featured Shiloh's vocals, which was quite annoying to say the least. I started to think that this would be the downfall of the genre. Thankfully, the hype died down eventually. Notice how I'm still calling lo-fi hip-hop a genre despite calling attention to the fact that it is actually a medium. That's because it's such a small thing that no person should actually care about in any way. It's similar to how DC Comics stands for Detective Comics, but there's an extra C that nobody cares about and says it anyway. Time for some closing thoughts. What do you guys think about my perspective of lo-fi hip-hop? Have you noticed the change in lo-fi music? Who do you prefer more, Nujabes or J Dilla? Also, if you have any beat tapes that you would like me to listen to, leave them in the comments section. I might review them in a later episode. Last thing I want to say is I hope you guys listen to my demo songs. So far I put out 4 demo songs: Over, Kiko, 4:30 AM, and Homecoming. I want to know which one is your favorite. If you have any criticism on the song, please let me know. I want to make sure that Level 1 is one of the greatest projects I've ever put out, so criticism is much appreciated. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I do a lot myself. All I wanted to do was rap, and now I'm blogging, making YouTube videos, producing music, mixing my own audio. It's a lot, and I'm not a master at any of it. So please let me know if there's something that you see that I can work on. I even started drawing again so I can make a small animation for my song Homecoming. Anyways, I think I'm out of demo songs, so I'm not certain what next Monday we'll have for you guys. I do have 2 singles, so who knows, maybe I'll drop those on Monday. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to know more about my music, read on the Sounds of Lush before the videos, check out some of my merch, or find new ways to connect with me, you can check out my website. Anyways, until then, I hope you guys enjoyed. MoFi out.